Hello, I'm Debbie Mercer, and I'm Dean of the College of Education at Kansas State University. Welcome to today's show. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Bette Grauer, Assistant Dean for Retention, Diversity, and Inclusion in our College of Engineering here at Kansas State. Dr. Grauer is a professional engineer, a former physics teacher, and a very proud K-State alum. So welcome. We're thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you.
We invited Dr. Grauer to the program today to talk to us about some of the work that she has been involved with over the last 20 years, getting students excited about science. I think that's a challenge and a reward at the same time. So tell us a little bit about your background and that work.
Oh, great. Thank you. I originally started my career as a civil engineer, and I've worked in, my specialty area was flood control structures. So dam designs and other flood retention structures. And I have always been very interested in education and in how to bring engineering into students' lives. And I had a deep interest in education, and at one time an opportunity came up for me to come back to school. So my first degree was from K-State in civil engineering, and my second degree was physics education from Kansas State. So after receiving my degree, then I taught for physics for about 12 years.
And then that led you to think about education perhaps in different ways and brought you back to Kansas State yet again.
Right. After I had taught for some time, it became apparent to me that there is a lot more to teaching science than just teaching science. There are applications and information about how science benefits people, but engineering itself is a very different field, and it really isn't a part of the K-12 curriculum. So I became involved in a research project with the National Science Foundation. And I was, in addition to being a practicing engineer, I was also a secondary teacher. And so I brought information to the project about how you can use engineering in the classroom. And so that sort of brought me full circle back to engineering and how to teach it. So I came back to K-State again to get more training on research.
Very good. So how do we reach out to secondary teachers, just like you were many years ago, so that they're laying the foundational pieces that students need to be successful scientists, successful engineers?
Well, the secondary teacher is, very well equipped to teach in the classroom. We know that the teacher is the key to student understanding. They're on the front lines. You can have all the technology, all the information you want, but if you don't have an effective teacher, the learning doesn't take place. And so in addition to the science curriculum, it's important to know how to bring the engineering curriculum into the classroom. Now, there is some changes to the secondary curriculum to try to bring engineering applications into the classroom. And so to assist that, at K-State, we've developed a teacher workshop that we present every spring. It targets middle and secondary science and math teachers, but we get teachers from all different levels and topics. And we bring information, or we present information to them on what engineering is and how it affects people's lives. We let them work with professors in engineering program and student engineers. We give them all kinds of applications and fun projects and activities. And we give them a few examples of bringing engineering in a classroom. And we've studied their responses as we do this program, and we've found that you don't need to do a whole lot with an experienced classroom teacher. They know what to do. So if we give them some examples, if we give them the information they need about what engineering is, then they just take it and run with it. And we've gotten very good feedback from the teachers, and we've found that they are able to take the information we give them and put it together into a very good curriculum.
So it sounds like that little boost is making a big difference.
I think that's a good way of
Yes.
putting it. You just need to give them that little extra. And it's a very enjoyable, very rewarding program. And it was one of the first things that I got to do in my new position. So I'm really happy to have been a part of that.
Very good. So we hear about a future shortage of engineers, and in fact the Kansas legislature has put resources and emphasis on helping us ensure that we have the number of engineers we need as we look to the future. So tell us a little bit about that work of motivating students to think about engineering as a career.
I appreciate the question because we're very fortunate that the state of Kansas is very interested in this situation, and they have provided assistance to us to try to bring this. They are very interested in this initiative for teachers, so they are our partner in the teacher workshop, but they are also aware of the coming shortage and the need in Kansas to have more engineers in the state. So part of the reason for my job is to help retain students in engineering. It's a very challenging program, and so my position as Assistant Dean for Retention and Diversity and Inclusion is all about helping those students to be successful and ultimately graduate. And so I have a tutoring program that is more than just tutoring. It's also working with students on best practices for being successful. Their study skills, their problem solving skills, and we train advanced students to be able to help their peers and be more successful. So that's a big part of our retention program. And another area that we're using to try to increase numbers is addressing the need for diversity in engineering. So that part of my position involves both ethnic and gender diversity. We do not have high numbers of multicultural students, and we don't have high numbers of women students. And we know that that's really important because engineering is all about creativity, and the more, the greater the diversity in engineering, the greater the diversity in creative thinking, in critical thinking, and problem solving. It all improves when you have diverse points of view. And we also know that our multicultural students are now becoming a big part of our growth in the College of Engineering. And our women students are becoming a big part of that growth, so we're really excited about that. So we have a very strong multicultural engineering program that's been going on for a long time that my office administers. And we recently initiated a new Women in Engineering program to try to increase the number of women in the college. And we're really happy with how that's going. We've seen a significant increase in the numbers of women in the college.
That are being recruited in as well as being retained in the college?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We're our office, or my office, is not really involved directly in recruitment, although we assist in recruiting and we make sure that students know about the program. But our focus is retention and making sure that they're not only retained in the college but are successful as an engineer. And we want them to use their skills that they have and understand what they can do with those skills and how important it is. It's very important for women to network with other women, we've found, and there's a lot of research about that. And so we provide that opportunity because the College of Engineering is a very large college with few women, and if we don't provide that opportunity for them to network with other women, they really don't get to know the other women in their field until they're juniors and seniors. And so this helps them build connections with other women. That if they're in our mentoring program, they have someone that they know they can contact and ask questions. And so it's a very, very special program, and we're really excited about it.
Very good. So I might use that to circle back around to thinking about secondary teachers. And the field of engineering is so broad. As we think about ways to give teachers that boost, that encouragement, how do we showcase the breadth of engineering in a high school curriculum so that students understand engineering is about building dams, but it's about a whole lot more than that as well?
That is a really important area of training for teachers, is bringing examples of engineering beyond the traditional. It isn't real difficult to bring those examples in. And like I said before, if you give examples to teachers, the experienced teachers, they know what to do with them. So I think a lot of it is just bringing in people with experience in engineering to provide examples of math and science applications, communications applications. It isn't all math and science, but almost every area that a student learns about, engineering is involved in. And so if you bring those examples of how technology is impacting our world in such a great way now, how material science has changed, and there is such a huge need for experts and people that work in the material science area. And there is so much more to building design, so many more important things than there was just 5 years ago.
Rapid changes.
Right.
Rapid changes,
Right.
No doubt, no doubt. STEM areas in their entirety are so critical as we think about the future jobs and preparing students to be successful as they enter those STEM areas is so critical. So how do we reach out to students, and what age would you suggest that we should start talking to them about aptitude, talent, interests that we see in these areas, and really working that motivational side and planting those seeds?
Well, I honestly, any age, there is a lot of research that says that elementary and middle school is critical, and that students have opportunities to meet role models or people that are professionals in the STEM fields when they're in the elementary and middle school levels. But even after that, even in the secondary, sometimes it just takes one application, one example. It doesn't take much for a person to point out to a student, you might really be good at this area, or at applying the chemistry that you are so good at in science. And we've done a lot of surveys of our students, and we've found that the secondary teacher is the person they most often cite as the person who interests them in engineering. The parents they talk to, parents they'll tell everything to, but they always bring up that one secondary teacher that reached out to them and brought it up.
I think that's an important piece for us to emphasize, that teachers do have incredible influence and incredible power to plant those seeds and motivate and really lift students up so that they think, well, yes, I can do this. Well, your passion's evident, whether we're talking about elementary students or college students, in preparing the next generation of engineers and scientists. Anything else that you'd like to leave us with about the work that you do for the College of Engineering?
Well, I would like to say I'm very grateful to the College of Education. I can't tell you how much I appreciate. I have 2 degrees from here, and it's always been apparent to me that K-State understands that the teacher is critical in the classroom, and K-State knows the things that teachers need. And it doesn't matter how much knowledge I had of engineering or math or science, I couldn't teach without the critical pedagogy that I learned, and I think that's probably the most important area that I think should be emphasized here. It really is all about the classroom teacher.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for joining this edition of EduCATion Today.